Much longer than I thought. Hope everyone's doing okay. So today we're just gonna talk about the March and April stuff. Still taking things 1 month at a time. I don't know if you guys saw, but live theater is now opening in April, so maybe we're right around the corner. But who knows, you know? Still though. All right. Okay, so March happenings. These are all things that you guys are already announcing. Our Black owned business feature is Cafe Con Libros. It's a combo coffee shop and a feminist bookshop, which is awesome for Women's History Month as well. And it's located in Crown Heights. This is an announcement that we always want to make sure that we put into our class stretches. So if we have a bunch, make sure to prioritize the Black owned business feature. And you can make it quick. Using this formula works really well. We want to let them know that this is a monthly happening, so make sure that that's in the announcement. The Black owned business we are featuring or spotlighting this month is, and then you name the business. And then if you guys have some personal experience or know a fact about it, be sure to include that too. Whatever's organic for you guys. And yeah, get people to want to check it out. March Madness, we're well underway with that. And when you're announcing this announcement specifically, definitely tell them that it's 3 classes for 36. Don't just say that it's March Madness. I think some people are a little confused by that and they don't know what that actually means. And you can say that it's valid on all Pilates classes. And this note here is something that you don't have to say if it doesn't organically come out. They'll see that on the app. And in that same light, make sure that you tell them how to purchase it. Sometimes they have to email us if it's a certain promo. So for this March Madness specifically, they buy it online or they can use the mobile app as well. March continuation. We're going to have a 5-day challenge again for the 30-minute classes. So we're going to repeat what we did is that January?
Actually, that should say 7. That's a typo.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's 7.
Yeah. And Maria, I forgot to address this on our call before everyone joined. They will be on the existing classes. We're not going to have like special classes at 9:30 like we did last time. That was just it wasn't a typo. It was just the old slide.
Yeah. So for Saturday, what will we do, you think?
Sorry?
For Saturday, what do you think what would we do?
For Saturday. Well, yeah, so that's a good question. Maybe it's not a 7-day challenge, but let's just call it a 30-minute class challenge. And what they're going to do is they're going to get a 1-week pass for $35, and it's only valid on 30-minute classes. Okay. And you can start on the 15th or the 22nd. So technically there's no class on Saturday, but you could take Friday's class on Saturday, or you're getting an unlimited pass. Maybe you only take 4 classes. It's still a really good deal.
Okay, so nothing changes.
It's just a pricing option built around our 30-minute class schedule. It's basically like take a lot in a small period of time, and they're $5 each. Great. Something like that.
No new classes for anyone.
No new classes.
Special that you'll start announcing next week or the week after. You'll see it in the weekly update email. But just know the cost is $35 for an unlimited 7-day 30-minute class pass, and it's free for unlimited members as per usual. And then the new client special, of course, is ongoing. You don't have to announce this every single time, especially when we're heavy on announcements, but this is a good one to announce when you need a filler, and make sure that you say if you have any friends, let them know. Get people to join their friends. All right, and then looking ahead to April, we're featuring Omango. Is that how you say it? I'm actually not even sure, but it's an acupuncture and massage clinic in Fort Greene. And then we're also going to do a special where you can try a class with an instructor that you've never tried before, for free. So hopefully that'll ramp up some of our friends that are under the radar right now. And that'll be all April long. And then this announcement specifically, you would have to email us to redeem, since we need to check their visit history. So March Madness, they can purchase online or on the app. This is for April. Try a class with a new instructor and email us to do so. Okay, so announcements. I'm hearing some of you announce before class. Oh, here's Narissa. It actually popped up on my
Oh, thank you. I got her.
You got it? Okay. Thanks. So some of you are announcing before class, and that's okay if you have the time, if this is, if it's dead silent and there's a few clients on and you're just having an organic conversation, that's totally fine, but we want to make sure that we're doing our main announcements during the end stretch. It's just the most organic. People are listening because they're stretching. They're not, running around for props, and they're just paying attention more. So definitely keep doing that. And then limit it to 2 or 3 so that they're not completely overwhelmed. And we want to make sure that we prioritize the Black-owned feature. And then again, tell them how to redeem. I feel like some people get lost. They hear it and then they really don't know. I think we think that they know more than they do. And then, okay, that hopped up to the top. Pasting the announcement. Some of us are forgetting to do that. If you're overwhelmed with talking to clients about injuries, or if you just have other things going on, just shout out, hey Maria, hey Kat, hey Christine, whoever's on desk, which by the way, Alexa and Allison are now working desk, and then Hannah is back as well. She had her baby. I don't know if you guys knew. His name's Rafi. So whoever's on desk, just give a shout out, hey, can you help me out? And we're more than happy to do so. But we definitely want to post those right before starting class. Okay, so this is kind of a refresher. We went over this before. These are all the things that you guys should be doing really close to starting class. It doesn't have to be order. Kind of figure out what works best for you, but make sure that you're not missing any of these items. So we want to post the announcements. You want to get your music going. If you have like a softer playlist going when you're chatting with clients. You need to include all participants. And then this is what I was emailing you guys about, the uncheck the box. Is all participants. It'll give you the option to allow participants to unmute themselves during class. We don't want that to happen, and so you need to uncheck that box so that we're not allowing them to do so. I think clients unmute themselves without knowing, so it's super important that we do that so that they don't pop up on the recording.
Does anybody not know how to do that? No shame at all. Like, if you don't know how to do that, just say, I don't know how to do that. You're not going to get in trouble for not knowing how to do that. But reach out and ask us. We are here for you. We know we're giving you a lot of information, and all this pre-class stuff is really stressful, and all this tech stuff is super annoying. Your front desk staff is there for you. Like, we are not just checking in the class. We are your sound, your visual check, but also all this other stuff. We're here to remind you of all these steps. So let's work together really, really tightly in the next couple of weeks and make sure like we are taking a militaristic approach to this, like boom, 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 like a checklist, like a punch list. I feel like it needs to be tighter. And we're definitely missing some steps, and we're a year into this. So we just need to tighten up the whatever. I can't think of a word right now. You get the point. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Is there another one? There we go. And then I know I keep saying this, but the prop announcements, I know that you guys like to tell clients as they're joining, and that is perfectly okay, because that's why they join early, so that they can get prepared for class. But I kind of like Narissa has been, right as she's starting class, she's like in her first position or second position. She's like, hey, everybody, these are like, I'm Narissa, these are the props you need. And then she goes. And it's awesome because it makes our job so much easier at the end to trim. And then we get that recording out as soon as possible for our clients that are begging us to send it out. So that would be super helpful if you guys could just hug it. The very last thing that you guys say is the props. Cool. Visual and sounds. Okay, so again, these are all things that you hear from me, maybe more than you want to, but there are still things that are getting missed. And this information's inside the studio for everyone that's in there. We need to use the Ethernet, not the Wi-Fi. If you're having issues with that, please let me know and I can help you. You might have to toggle the network on to Ethernet. Sometimes it doesn't do it automatically, but make sure that that's connected. We do not have good Wi-Fi in Studio One, so we have to use the Ethernet. Using the HD webcam for the camera and the mic. Just plugging it in might not be enough. You might have to go into your settings and switch that as well, so just triple check that that is the setting that it's on. Check the HD box. That'll just make it even better of a visual. And then original ratio gives it that like fisheye look. So it's super wide. Original sound on for all classes. It's super annoying. I don't know why this happens, but when you talk to clients, I know that you guys hear that feedback when original sound is on, so you can't have a good conversation with them. So definitely turn it off if you need to, or I would suggest turning it off, but then you just have to remind yourself to turn it back on. And again, that's something that I and the rest of the front desk staff are here for you. We can tell if something's off, and we'll remind you, but you know, sometimes we miss it too, or we're dealing with other things. So if we could just really pay attention to the original sound, that would be awesome. And then check the mic volume. I think this has been fine throughout. I haven't had to ask anyone to adjust their mic volume. I don't know about the rest of the team, but everyone's voices are a little different, so you might have to adjust that. And again, we're here to help you with that. And then using the in-studio sound system, obviously as per. I think this can go louder than what you all think. So err on the side of louder. And using the studio mic is completely optional. We can hear you guys perfectly, but if you want to save your voice, if you feel like you scream less, you know, or can save your voice more when you have it on, by all means, please. And then if you do have to shift over for the flickering lights or anything in general, just make sure that your backdrop is super clear and uncluttered. And then to help with that, especially because we don't want to use the outlet near the hamper. I don't know if that is affecting the lights or not, but we just have had problems with that outlet in the past, so let's not use that. And in between classes, you can charge the laptop underneath the mats as usual. And then during class, if you need an extra boost of battery, please use the portable charger. It was expensive, that's why we bought it, so learn how to use that and use it, and if you need help with it, I'm here for you. And then there's also a sheet inside the studio that gives you step-by-step on how to turn it on. I know it's a little funky, but it does work. And then Fit Radio, because the Wi-Fi isn't great, just make sure that you have a backup for your sound, or just use the downloaded mix. And then I think it's nice if there's some quieter music to kind of set the tone, rather than having complete silence. You can also just play the mix that you're playing, but have it a little bit lower. It's up to you, but have both sets of music prepared, the class music and the cool down music, so that you can switch quickly.
What do you mean by that, Narissa? Narissa just said Fit Radio is tripping.
I tried to use it for my HIT class, and it like toggled me to say like what type of account this is.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And so like if you have that app on your phone right now, you might want to check it.
Okay, that's good to know because I know they're making some changes. They're trying to move studios onto corporate accounts because we've just been using my personal account and I pay like $30 a year for it. And they're trying to charge like $50 a month for a corporate account. So maybe they're like noticing that we have multiple people logged in at once or something like that. So yeah, all the more reason to have a backup for this. If you're at the studio, this is easy because we have the studio iPod with all the mixes on it. You can also get these Fit Radio mixes, through that Dropbox link. And I believe you can download mixes to your device, whether that's your laptop or your phone, from that Dropbox. When it's on my phone, I have a hard time finding it though. So just make sure you know where it is. And even if your backup mix is the same mix every single time, that's okay because hopefully you're not using it that much. Just have like one go-to backup mix somewhere that's easily accessible in case the music goes out in class, which sounds like is a good possibility now if you're relying on Fit Radio.
Yeah, it's not even showing like.
Say that again. You were cutting out.
It's like Christine, you may want to check it because it's not even showing the favorites anymore.
Oh, weird.
I will look into that. Thank you for the heads up. I'm still muted.
No, you're good. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. That was weird. I think we had like 3 Extend-Bar Brooklyns logged in, so it's confused. It's probably you, me, and Kat, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the Fit Radio, we don't log out of it at the studio, right? It's just on there all the time. Yeah.
I mean, I don't log out of it either on my phone, so I will check that. We will get back to you guys on that, but just be on high alert that that's an issue.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if we're using Fit Radio, I obviously don't use it, but if anyone's using it at home, I guess we should log out every single time, right? I mean, we don't
maybe. And we talked about this like 3 or 4 months ago when Fit Radio first sent out an email saying they were going to do this, but it didn't seem like anything changed, and maybe they finally got their act together.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about telling you guys.
Well, that was a while ago, so I kind of forgot about it too. Okay, we'll get back to you on that. Have a backup for your music.
Yeah, more. And then I think Hannah still in the weekly update email sends the Dropbox link. So if you want to use your phone, I know Christine said that, but just go to the weekly update email, click the Dropbox, and you can plug your phone in. Let me know or whatever for your product.
But you have to download it. You can't just click the link and listen to it through the link because that's also reliant on Wi-Fi. So you have to have like a physical copy of the file on your phone somewhere and know which folder that is. Because when I hit download on my phone, I never know where it goes.
Right. I guess if you're using your data, though, it's secure. So however you guys want to do it. But yeah, just know that Wi-Fi sucks. Okay.
Okay, so I'm actually going to just jump in here for just a little good cop, bad cop, I'm going to call it. And I'm going to be the bad cop, and Maria's the good cop. So I want to reiterate what I said 5 minutes ago. This stuff is annoying, and not sexy, not fun, not what we signed up for. And on top of having to teach virtually, which is also really challenging. And I really admire all of you because you're really nailing it at this point and have been for a while, delivering a great virtual class. And on all of this stuff, I give us as a studio, like, let's call it a B-. We're not failing, but we're better than that. We're an A+ type of place. I'll take the plus off because I'm much chiller now post-COVID. So we're an A type of place. And we're like at a B- right now. And nobody is standing out to me as like, this person keeps doing that, or it's nothing, no one's in trouble. It's just that I think that we need to do better. And I think that Maria is working really, really hard on all of these manuals and emails, and Hannah's putting together all these emails, and we're having all these conversations behind the scene, trying to troubleshoot all these things with all of your help. And again, B minus, not terrible, but not our standard. And I want us all to get better at all of this because there have been some things that have been happening somewhat consistently. We're making rookie mistakes. Let's put it that way. These are things like we should remember to turn original sound on. We should remember to use Ethernet now, not Wi-Fi, even though that's a relatively new one. We should know, like the back of our hands, what the different things are that could go wrong and how to troubleshoot them quickly. And we're just not there yet. And maybe it's because I feel like we had a really good spell for a while. Things were going swimmingly. And then, I don't know, Mercury went into retrograde and shit hit the fan and all this crazy stuff started to happen. And then our air conditioning broke and then our lights started flickering. So we have these annoying things that are like not part of the fun part of our jobs that we signed up for. But I need everyone to kind of elevate their game on this. And I want to reiterate again that the front desk, and this is probably my fault because I'm the leader of this organization and everything goes down from there. I think the front desk can be doing a better job in supporting you in making all of these things happen each and every time, even if it's only for like the next 2 weeks where we sort of shadow you on all these steps until they become very, very ingrained in your brains. Then that's what we're going to need to do. But I also need you guys to speak up if you're like, I am so confused about this. Nobody is going to get in trouble for this. Nobody is in trouble, but we need to elevate our game on this unsexy dimension of our job. Because I just see Maria and how hard she's working and she's frustrated, not at anyone in particular, but that she feels like she can't get through. She's like, what am I doing wrong? What can I do to get through? This is a hard thing to communicate because again, this stuff is not interesting or sexy, but also this whole like virtual pandemic situation. So, obviously it's not anyone's fault, especially not Maria's, but we are kind of disjointed on this a little bit and we're a little disconnected on these things that we're still making these rookie mistakes. So I pledge to you that I will be better about this. I will admit that I check in Pilates classes and I don't even log in because I'm like, it's Pilates. There's no music. Like, shame on me. That's ridiculous. I should be there for you, pasting those announcements if you need me to, reminding you to turn on your original sound, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you will get that support from the front desk and we're going to meet you halfway there to close that gap between the B minus and the A. So I guess that wasn't too bad of a cop, but that's my spiel on this. If anyone has any questions or concerns or is confused about something, please speak up. It is absolutely fine to be confused about some of this stuff, especially because we keep changing things as we get more evolved. The good news is we have a really good product. I have been taking virtual classes. We did a Physique 57 free trial. Maria and I and Nicole took a class. And I'm just like, ours is way better. Our music is better. Our classes are better. But even besides that, our music is better. Our visuals are better. Everything is just better. And I'm so proud of us. So I don't want you to feel like we're coming down on you because you're doing an amazing job. And also on the announcements, huge improvement. And so even all the stuff that we went through today, I don't want you guys to feel like we are not noticing the improvements because the announcements have become so much better and it is making a difference, you guys. We get emails about free trials and people are referring more friends and you could just see these little things happening. And I know that that's a result of the improved announcements. So keep it up, but let's continue to improve it and just make it not perfect, but sort of our standard level of how we do things. And we're like a B minus on certain aspects of this, but A plus 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 on many other aspects. I don't want you guys to lose that in the message. Okay, next slide, Maria.
Yeah. So many details, you guys.
So many details. I feel bad for you guys. I'm sitting here, taught one virtual class in my whole life. It was a Pilates class, hated it. So kudos to you guys all because seriously, you are professionals. The classes are just top notch, truly.
Yeah, you guys need to focus on teaching too, so that's why we're here, but just meeting us halfway for sure. Cool.
Oh, okay. I do have one more slide to cover because this has come up a couple of times. A lot of you guys have asked about teaching at home. And I want to be clear about this. Well, I guess I'm not going to be too clear because I don't want to micromanage you guys. You're all professionals. You've all always done me right and always done the studio right. And there's no reason for me to believe that you won't continue to do so. So I just want to treat you all like professionals. And, but I will throw like a very vague notion out there that the majority of the classes should be taught inside the studio when possible. So I know that when possible thing is vague. That's where your judgment and your discretion come in. And again, I trust you completely. But these are things like, let me just give you examples. Like Nicole was not feeling well after she was recovering from COVID, or Isabella went home to go meet her nephew, or I teach 3 classes in a day and one of them is at night. I don't want to come back. Something like that would be an appropriate sort of compromise on making your life a little bit more convenient, but still honoring sort of the studio's commitment to quality. We've invested a lot of time and money in the setup at the studio, so we want to make sure that we're leveraging that. At the same time, you've all done quite a nice job at home. So as long as you have all your ducks in a row in terms of the quality and the visual and sound quality that we expect, then I am down with you guys sprinkling that in as a tool for you to help your own personal work-life balance and also your safety. Another scenario might be a snowstorm. Another scenario might be, I don't know, something like happens in the city and you don't feel safe taking the subway, those types of things. So, but just make sure that you communicate with us that you plan to teach at home, just so we can prepare for that extra element of potentially having to test that setup, because you know every setup is different every day in every space. So that's what I'll say about that. Maria, if you can just, I think I hit all the bullets on this page, but if you could just go down the next, yep. So these are just, if you're home, do not do the screen sound share. Use your external Bluetooth speaker. I think most of us are on that. If you're not, let us know and we can test it out. Next bullet is probably about webcam. So that's your visual. If your personal laptop camera at home is good, then great. You don't need a webcam. But if you want to teach at home and your computer is like crappy and fuzzy and you want to teach at home, you need to invest in a webcam, because we have a studio where you can teach if it's safe. So that's your personal choice. Some of you have perfectly fine laptops. Some Apple cameras are really, really good. Nicole's been teaching with hers for months, no problem at all. I already made this point, so you can go on from that. Yep, that's it. That's it. Back to you, Maria. Next slide. If anyone has any questions, feel free to throw something in the chat or raise your hand. We're good? Okay. Does Jules have a comment? Jules, oh. I think you have to.
We
Yeah, I
can't
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
She's muted.
We can hear you now.
I can't. Can anybody else hear her?
Maria, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, Jules's comment is we can't hear Maria. Okay.
Yeah, I can't. You can hear me now. Sorry, I can't see any of my screen because I'm sharing, so I have no idea what's happening. Sweet, that makes sense why I was trying to tell Natalia. Natalia is the only one that isn't sharing or isn't using a Bluetooth speaker, which I have to work on that with you, Natalia. I don't know if she can hear me, but I'll email her. I think everyone else is in a good place now. Okay, so these are things that we haven't necessarily emailed about, but I've left labels and notes all over the studio. So just some reminders. The HEPA units. So those are the black devices that are in Studio One and the lobby. Turn those on. Those are air purifiers. So you can use, now I lost my cursor again. There we go. You can use the germ setting during your class, especially your private. That's supposed to like get rid of the germs. I don't know how it works. And then the clean setting cleans the air. So it has this timer tool on it where you don't have to worry about shutting it off. So go ahead and put that on, whether it's clean or germ. You can set it for 2, 4, 6 hours. I'd probably just do 2. since we don't have a lot of bodies in there, and it'll shut off on its own. So you can leave it running at the end of your class or your private. And then, especially as the weather starts to warm up, you can use the windows as extra ventilation, especially during the privates. Don't forget to Swiffer after your classes. I pop in about once a week and do like a nice deep clean. But if you guys could Swiffer for the next person coming in, that would be nice. And then use disinfectant. I think everyone's doing this. Using disinfectant to wipe down your mat or anything that you use in any other high touch areas, just out of respect for the next person coming in. And then I haven't really heard of anyone not being comfortable with using alternative setups, but if anyone has a question about how to use either the desktop computer in the lobby or any additional setups that they might have to use if the laptop goes awry or if the studio isn't, if we don't have lights or something, does everyone feel comfortable with all the different setups?
Isabella has a question. I think the answer is your own laptop so that you could be in the studio. Is that right, Maria? Her question is, if the computer at the studio fails, should we use our own laptop or the studio front desk? I think the desktop is plan C.
Yeah, definitely use, I'm gonna exit out of this. Definitely use your laptop first if you brought it, which you should. And you can use it exactly as you would for the normal the studio laptop. So you would teach inside the studio. Desktop is plan C. The only reason it doesn't work as well is because it's facing the windows, and so you look kind of silhouetted. But it's a good alternative, and connecting the webcam will make it even better. So lots of options. If the lights are flickering, which we're getting that solved. It was fine for Narissa all day today, so I don't know what's happening. It was fine for me all night last night, but we're gonna look into it further, don't worry. If it's absolutely too dark in there, Hannah had a great setup where it was coming from the Studio One door and her backdrop was the neon sign because she wasn't silhouetted. So that's an option, using the studio laptop. We have so many options now, so I just want to make sure that you guys feel super comfortable with all of them where you can do it in a pinch. And that Ethernet cord, always, it's so long, you don't have to feed it through the back, you can just drag it around and plug it into the desktop. And again, we're here for you for that. Just be prepared.
Okay, Maria, should I share my screen now? Are we at the fun part yet?
So yeah.
Okay, so if you missed the last 40 minutes of our meeting, moral of the story is front desk is going to support you more in doing the non-fun parts of your job. And that's basically what we've been drawing on about for the last 40 minutes. Now we move on to the fun part of our presentation.
Last thing though, the heat.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a point. Yeah.
I missed it too. We're approaching warmer weather, so this won't be so much of an issue. But check the weather overnight, and if it drops, please leave the heat on for the next person. And since we have 2 brand new HVAC units in the studio, it doesn't take long to warm up. So all you have to do is leave it buzzing on like 68 or 69 and like low fan, and maybe just 1 unit too. Okay, and then shut the doors and close the blinds as per usual. Okay, let me stop.
Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. We are going to have a really fun conversation about our really fun 30-minute classes. And this part is going to be interactive, but I'm just going to start by going through sort of the basic format of the class. This is bar, okay, because Pilates, and Jules just clapped, that was cute. Pilates and HIIT are pretty straightforward. So this is for bar. This is the format that's kind of emerged, and I'm really digging it. I'm loving these classes so much, and they're like I can't do a 50-minute class anymore, which could be a problem for us because we have a class full of 50-minute classes. So stay tuned for more information on that in the next round of schedule changes. So 5-minute warm up, bar side 1, which is around 8 to 9 minutes. Midsection, it's a section in between on the mat for about 5 minutes. And just a little note here that in a burn class, that section can be longer, where in case you run out of stuff to burn standing up, you can do some burn on the mat. But I wouldn't spend more than 5 minutes in a flow class on the mat because we want to keep that energy level up, and we'll get into that in the next couple slides, the difference between flow and burn. And then side 2 of the bar, also 8 to 9 minutes and a 3-minute stretch. So that's the basic format. Of course, if your warm up is 4 minutes and your bar side is 10 minutes and your mat's 4 minutes, that's totally fine. But try to stick generally to these parameters. And we have videotapes of all our classes. So you can go back and watch your class and be like, where did I fall short or where did I go over? And you can actually look and see, was my bar side too long? Was my mat side too long? So go in and watch your classes after and see where you land on these intervals of time. We're so used to the 50-minute class that we can do that like clockwork, but do we know how to script an 8 to 9 minute bar section that we feel confident won't go over or fall short? So yeah, now we have the videos, we can look and check that out. So that's the format. Anyone have any questions on the format or comments? Throw them in the chat. We're good? That makes sense? Okay, so just a comment, and then I'm gonna ask people for their opinions. Obsessed with these classes, totally obsessed, completely. So burn versus flow. So the only one point I'm going to make on this slide, is a pet peeve of mine is when there are like categories of things and they don't seem different. Like we've all been to those studios that have like 16 different class types, and it's like, how is this class different from this class? So that's what we want to avoid. If we have 2 class types on the schedule, they have to hold their own. They have to be distinct from one another. Otherwise, there's no point in having 2 classes. We would just have a bar burst class and call it, I just called it bar burst, which is what Kim Herrera calls it, bar blast. We would just have 1 bar blast class, but we made this decision that 1 class is going to be a toning and sculpting class and 1 class is going to be a cardio class. So we want to make sure that we're bringing that to life. Otherwise, there's no point. So the moral of this slide is these two classes should feel completely different in the body. Oops, sorry about that. They should feel completely different in the body, and they should have different energy. And your cueing should also reflect these differences, not just what moves you put in them, but what you talk about. So we'll get into that in the next couple of slides. So this is where it's going to get interactive. I want to ask you guys, why isn't this clicking? I would like to ask you guys just to throw in the chat, what do you think are some good characteristics of a bar burn class? So I'm just going to put an example up here just to give you, I'll put the first bullet point on here just to get us started. So this is a toning / sculpting / technique / alignment class. And I'm going to throw on there that it's going to be about 75% burn. So actually, I'm going to ask a question before we get to the characteristics of a burn class. What does everyone think our normal class is, percentage-wise, cardio to burn? Your 50-minute class, what does everyone think is our ratio? Throw it in the chat. I can't see the chat. Maria, can you see it? Oh, here it is. Okay.
Yeah, I was having that.
Very interesting, ladies. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Amber, what do you think? Nicole, sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm picking on you because you've been around. Isabella.
I feel like we were getting to a point where it was more like a 75% cardio, and then we kind of started dialing it back a little. People started to want a little more burn, like when we moved into the virtual format. I feel like Kat was probably the closest with like the 60-40.
Okay. I should clarify. This is not for virtual. This is for our in-studio classes, because Nicole brought up a good point. Remember when the pandemic started and we're like, no one's been outside in 2 weeks. We have to do a lot of cardio. So that aside, like just our normal formula. So Nicole, you kind of captured it completely. So there was a time like 3 or 4 years ago where we decided that our classes are about 70 to 75% cardio. And that's what makes us different from other bar classes. And maybe we've gone, I think it's more than 60-40, you guys. I think we're closer to 70. I find these answers very interesting because I've taken your classes. I don't think they're 50% burn. I really don't. I think again, watch your classes. I think maybe it's in the 60-40, 65-35 range, but I don't think anyone is teaching 50-50. I really don't. I don't feel that in my body. Our classes are, yeah. So let's bring this back to life. Our method, our formula is very cardio focused. We are doing way more cardio than burn in a 50-minute class. And let's call it 65 to 75%, okay? So if a burn class is 75% burn versus it's normally 75% cardio, that is a completely different class. That's the point I want to make here. And I'm glad we have this conversation because everyone should know that our baseline 50-minute class is majority cardio and definitely not 50-50. So your answers really surprised me because I don't think that's what you're actually doing in practice. But so keep mostly doing what you're doing. Don't amp up the cardio too much more because I think you're probably already around in the 65 range. We don't want it to be 90% cardio unless it's a flow class, which we'll get to. Can anyone else think of any other attributes of a bar burn class, either in the cueing or in the moves? Like, how are we using cardio? So the 25% cardio, what does that look like? Jello legs, yeah, that's the effect. What are your tactics to getting there? Or these are kind of hard questions. These are very open-ended questions. So
Amber has
Amber.
with the hands, you guys.
Yeah, sorry, I can't see any of the chats really or any of the hand raises. So
No, I was just gonna say that, like back to the other comment, is I think that sometimes we forget that our cardio, like we do, I would say like totally agree with Nick. But our cardio, once we're doing all these second positions, it's a lot of quad burn that I think that people forget. So
true.
like I think it's good to also realize that if you're, especially sometimes when we do like the 3 pulses and then like a passe or something, that's a quad burn. When you do that a lot, like it's rough on those thighs. So that's,
yeah, especially if you add a releve too, right?
Yeah.
I hear you. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe it is more like 65 when you count all that stuff in. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to get, and it's class to class too, and what mood it is and what time of day and who the instructor is. There's always variations along all those dimensions as well. So maybe not get too hung up on the specific number, but more the relation between the numbers. So like, let's call a normal class 70 to 75%. And a bar burn class is going to be like more like 25% cardio. So whether your number is 65 or 75, like this class is way more burn. And that's why I said don't feel shy to make your mat section longer because there's a lot of good burn to be had on the mat, right? And we don't want to turn this into like a Physique 57 class where we're just like endlessly pulsing and repetitive pulses in one position where it like doesn't feel good in your body. So, and that's not our brand either. So let me just go to this next point here. Why can't I? Come on. Okay, here we go. So for the cardio, so you're, and convert it to time. So if it's 25% cardio, think about that in minutes. So if your class is 30 minutes, 25% of 30 minutes is around 8 minutes. And obviously you're not going to do that all in one stretch because that would be too much cardio. So maybe you do like you're doing a burn series, like a second position burn, and you're doing all these variations in your burn. So your burn might have like slow pulses, fast pulses, 2 count pulses, releve heels up and down in your plie. You're kind of just jello legs, like Isabella was saying. And then after that, think about like a second position cardio, very basic, second to first, second to passe, maybe add a releve. How long does that take? A minute maybe? So you're doing that like 3 to 4 times on each side maybe, or so you got to just break it down in minutes. Think about it in minutes. Your class should have about 8 minutes of cardio in it. And that includes the warm up. So that's like 4 minutes. So that's how I want you to think about the anatomy of this class. You got to plan it a little bit more carefully because, again, you're working with this 30-minute time slot that you're not used to teaching in. So you don't really know exactly how much you can fit in. And like you would with a 50-minute class that you've been teaching for 4 years. So I want you to really think about that ratio of cardio so that these classes truly feel different. And your cardio should not be like HIIT cardio. It should be basic bar cardio. This is a bar class. And the cardio is there to help you. Oops, I cheated and went ahead of slide. The cardio is there to help you as an active stretch. I'm sorry, I'm spazzing all over this presentation. The cardio is there for an active stretch and recovery. And also, so the class doesn't feel like a Physique 57 class and it feels like an extend bar class. So we're not pulsing for 30 minutes. No HIIT. And I would say even in your core work, instead of mountain climbers, do like plank holds or like releve forward and backs, like small movements, lift one leg at a time, maybe side steps, but slow ones. This is a class to focus on technique. So I would use this class to really emphasize the importance of stability and the importance of core stability and how stability improves performance and safety in faster moving classes. Remember how we used to teach our technique class? I want you to channel more of that instructor in this class than you do in a flow class. Okay, and then I didn't put this on here, but the mat section can be a little bit longer than 5 minutes if you want to play around with that, because you could do like fold over on the floor, side lying, a really long ass bridge series that you don't really have time for in a flow class because you don't want to slow down the energy by being on the floor for too long. So I kind of tip my hat on this, on the bar flow. So bar flow, now I'm going to really make it interactive and ask for your input. So knowing how bar burn is structured, and that bar flow is 90% cardio, how are we going to use our burn in this class? Anyone want to how would you use your burn in this class?
Transitions.
Give me an example of like a series. Sorry, I cannot control this presentation and share my screen at the same time. It's really challenging. Okay. Go ahead, Isabella.
So like if I'm doing a ton of second position cardio type moves, I might flow from like a second position cardio into an advanced curtsy and pause in the into a curtsy burn, and then flow back into more second position cardio, then do a second position cardio burn, like quick little movements. This is what I've been doing since you were burn class, not a flow class.
Yes, we've been chatting a lot about this because I check in your Sunday night class. So yeah, so you're doing, and your cardio can have, and not only is your cardio allowed to include HIIT, but I think it should include HIIT. But we want to stick to the music because it's still a bar class. So if you go off the music a little on your HIIT, that's fine, especially for safety reasons. But remember, it's still a bar class. Don't turn it into a HIIT class because we have a 30-minute HIIT class. So this is still a bar class, and we still want to kind of be on the cadence of the music for the most part, but definitely include HIIT because this is a cardio class. But back to the burn. So the burn should only be used as a transition and a break between cardio segments. So think like you're doing this long ass like 3-minute cardio sequence, and then it ends in a curtsy, and then you do a curtsy burn, down an inch, up an inch, pulses, hold. And then you go into your advanced curtsy, like Isabella's example. So I wouldn't get crazy with the choreography in the burn. You shouldn't be doing a full burn sequence that has like a bunch of variations. It mostly should be pulses, to be honest, or just something to reset their form. So in this class, what they need is a moment to reset and ground and find the proper shapes. So these are used as transitions and also to slow their heart rate down because they need that break. So think about your burn the way you think about your cardio in the burn class. It should be really simple and it should be short, but not absent completely. And this is a 10% thing here. So this is really, really short. And then the other really important point in this class, which is huge, is that because we only have 30 minutes, we have to use every second of it, especially because this is not a HIIT class. This is still a bar class, so it's not as intense. So your transition should be minimal. Do fewer sequences for longer stretches, and your transitions should be uncomplicated, or think about them as being incremental, meaning you're like already 3/4 of the way there and all you need to do is turn your feet to parallel and hinge your spine forward. And boom, you're there. Because think about what takes up a lot of time in class. It's when we are setting up new sequences. So do not change sequences as frequently. And I have to say that Nicole is a master at this. Like, it is insane how good her 30-minute flow class is. And if you haven't taken it, you need to after this meeting at some point before you teach your next flow class, because it is perfect. And watch your 2-count moves in this class. Use them very sparingly. It really drags down the energy of the class. So if you're doing, I would say don't use them at all unless you're doing like maybe an advanced curtsy or something that's more complicated, which you shouldn't be doing complicated stuff anyway, because remember, we're transitioning minimally and incrementally. So we want to really minimize those transitions and those slow movements. All right, we have a comment. Chat. Yes, Narissa, good question. The format we went through on this slide here is the same for both classes. The only difference being that you might go a little longer on the mat section in the burn class. Any other questions? Or does anyone have any other comments on, oh God, I'm sorry, you guys. Does anyone else have any other comments on how I could have missed some things like attributes of a flow class versus a burn class that will help make that distinction? If anyone has any ideas about how to do that, I am totally open. And if there's any questions about anything we covered in terms of the differences, if those are unclear, raise your hand. Juliet says she is taking Nicole's class. Also, you guys, the Pilates and the HIIT classes are awesome too. Like, we have been getting such great feedback, so keep it up. This was like the main thing I wanted to talk to you about, because the bar classes are really great. It's just that I feel like sometimes I leave and they both feel a little too like one another. So that was the only thing I really wanted to delve into. Otherwise, they're friggin' fantastic. So fun to teach. Pilates blessed. Nicole's flow class is amazing. Love them all. Killing it. Love it. Love it. I know this is the programming change we needed. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a possibility that we will be flipping more of our classes to 30 minutes in the spring, and hopefully, potentially, maybe doing some outdoor classes as well. But we also have this prospect of potentially reopening at limited capacity. As everyone has probably seen in the news, the movie theaters are reopening at 25% capacity. Some of the theaters are reopening. So I have to think that it's possible that we're next. But again, who knows? So the next round of programming changes is going to be really dependent on what the situation is with that. But more 30 minutes is likely for spring. Okay, so Nicole has a comment. What about burn always has some type of fold over? I like that. What does everyone think about that? Because it's required in our regular class. It's sort of like the main glute burn. So I think that's great. Do you mean standing or on the floor? Either, right?
Either, yeah.
I love that. Anyone object to that idea? I would totally make that a rule if people are down. Yeah, amazing.
Do you have a problem with like, I think last week when I taught flow, I did like a second to arabesque cardio situation with a weight in the hand, and then did like a very brief fold over tricep situation for like 3 sets of 8 as like a transitional burn. And then float into like a lunge cardio thing?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that okay if it's used as a transition in a flow class?
Yes, I just wouldn't stay there too long or do a bunch of like variations there. I would just if it's like your burn. Oh, by the way, your burn in your flow class, your burn break could be an arm burn. It doesn't have to be a leg burn. Or you could just hold a second position plie and do a bunch of like, mini bend extends with your arms for like 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't always have to be pulses with the legs. Someone had a question about Pilates Blast. Oh, I'm glad that you asked this, Nicole. Everyone put in the chat what their preference is for Pilates Blast, music or no music. Not no music, but taught to the music or ambient music like a Pilates mat class. I'm curious to hear everyone's opinion on that. Okay, interesting. Who wrote upbeat music but not taught to the music? That was you, Maria?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, my keys are sticking, so I'm having a hard time typing.
Okay, well, what do you think? Yeah, actually, what do you think? What do you do, Amber?
I did it once to like the extend music, and I found that I started teaching like a Pilates fusion like on the music on the beat. And then I did it once to like upbeat, I hate to say lounge music, but like upbeat, like not like la 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 mute like loungy music, but like upbeat music without words. And I found that it was more, I taught it more like a Pilates mat class. So I don't know which one I like better, but I just know that it was very different to teach it. But
I guess
does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, everyone's been kind of playing around with that. And I'm just.
We should be teaching a Pilates Blast to like chill music like we do in like a mat class. Like
you don't think so?
No, not in a blast, because we wanted the energy to me to be higher, because we're also teaching faster and the transitions are fast, like everything's faster.
Yeah, no, I don't have I have to tell you guys, I'm totally 50-50 on this one.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at Narissa. Oh my gosh. That's actually a good idea. I hate to add any more things that we have to manage and stuff we have to explain to our clients, but you could make 2 classes out of it. You really could. It would just be, you get a crazy workout just teaching it. It would just, putting the music question aside, what do we feel like the energy should be, to Amber's point about it's a 30-minute class?
Can I speak real quick, because it's hard to just type everything I'm thinking?
Yeah, go ahead.
Selfish reasons. I miss my routine of taking Amber's Pilates Fusion on Wednesdays. And Jules has like that cool energy. So it's just nice to have that kind of like similar, we have like a flow on one day and then like a Pilates Fusion 30 minutes fill another time. So the clients are still getting, something a little different.
I'm okay leaving it like between us sort of and not defining it, and then just being like, there's the Juliet class and the Amber class, and you kind of know what you're going to get, I guess I'm okay with that. It's only 2 classes, so I don't want to make like a separate category for it, because there's only 1 of each versus bar burn and bar flow. You have like 2 or 3 of each, but I think maybe I'm just okay like being silent on it and like making it just sort of dealer's choice. But I wouldn't turn it into a full-blown Pilates fusion class, though. I think it's going to feel that way at some level, just because of how tight the transitions are and how quickly the girls are moving. But my only hesitation is just having it be a full-blown Pilates fusion class, because it was meant to get. I guess we have a Pilates class on Wednesday already, so it's okay if Amber's is a little like fusion-y without actually calling it fusion. Maybe that's. I'm torn on this, you guys, so I'll stop talking. So you're saying, Jules, just like let it kind of leave it between us? I don't think clients need to be concerned with this. Yeah, I agree with this. The classes are doing really well. People are loving it. Let's let sleeping dogs lie. Yeah. Okay, great. Anyone else have any parting thoughts on the 30-minute bar flow versus bar burn format, and how we can further delineate these classes? I think including a fold over in burn as a mandatory sort of killer sequence is going to put an exclamation point on that burn, I think. So I love that. Anything else that you think should be sort of mandatory hallmark characteristics of either one of these classes? It's not a speak now or forever hold your peace thing. If you get an epiphany while you're teaching or taking a class, please share it with the group. Awesome. Love it, you guys. These are really great. Okay, so I'm going to say I have more stuff I wanted to talk about, but not enough time to talk about it in any way that won't feel rushed or sort of engaging. So I'm going to save it for next time. But I will say before we sign off, I will give you the introductory sentence to this next slide. So do you remember a year ago when we started having virtual staff meetings? I wanted to just commemorate that milestone and also reflect on it because it's insane. But do you guys remember how like between March and July of last year, we basically decided that we were just going to use this time to just nerd out on anatomy, and all of our like FOMO material that we've been nerding out on over the past few years, we decided, well, I guess I decided, and you guys happily went along for the ride, so thank you for that, that we were going to delve deeper into our cueing while we had this time off, and we dove into our FOMO toolbox to do that. And before we sign off today, I'm not going to get into any of the FOMO topics, but I want to ask you guys, do you remember the 5 fundamental FOMO topics? So remember, we have the focus of the month, and there was sort of fun FOMO topics like ballet moves and cardio, and then there was sort of like nerdy anatomical FOMO concepts. And there's 5 of them. So I wondered if you guys could name them in the chat. Anyone have a FOMO, a focus of the month? Feet. Thank you, Isabella. That is correct. That's actually the first one. Anyone else? Back body is not one of them, Kat, but hold that thought. Cardio and ballet are fun ones. Knees is correct. Knee is the next one. So working your way up the body. Oops. Working your way up the body. Oh my God. Knees. Plank is another fun one. Spine, correct. Oops, I just showed pelvis. How could you guys forget pelvis? Pelvis and spine. So think about it. Plank is sort of a spinal, it has a huge tie-in to spine, but it's not the focus, the baseline foundational focus. The last one you guys are not going to get, so I'm going to tell you. Hold that thought on upper body. Okay, so the next one is muscular intention. So that one's tricky because it's not a body part. But the top 4, those are our foundational FOMOs. Why are they foundational? Because they're bones. Maybe that's not why they're foundational, but that's something that I noticed was in common about all of them. And cardio is not, it's a focus, and plank is a focus, but it's not a cue. I guess we have turned plank into a cue because we say plank spine for neutral spine. But I want you to think a level deeper, like where your bones should be placed in space in order to make that perfect plank. And so think about those 4 things as your foundational bone cues that you should be addressing in all of your sequences in some fashion. And then muscular intentions are what muscles are doing the moving and what muscles are doing the stabilizing. So those are your 5 sort of toolbox cues. The other FOMOs are like the fun ones: ballet moves, cardio, upper and lower body versus back and front body can fall under this umbrella of teaching a balanced class, which I think is also part of the FOMO toolbox. And we also did a training on that, not a training, but we did a staff meeting on a balanced class. Remember we did that? So that is really, really important too. Working in all planes of motion, addressing both mind and body. So I'm going to end the meeting here, but I will say, I put shoulders there. I'm like, why isn't shoulders a FOMO month? I guess it never made it into the FOMO roster, but that's obviously a bony structure, anatomical structure that's extremely important. And we do address these often. So don't forget about the shoulders. And then pelvic spine and pelvic and spinal positioning, very intertwined. And I was going to go into that, but we don't really have time. But here's all your stuff on your balanced class. So if you want to look at the presentation, this is just a regurgitation of what we did last summer. Read this list. Are you doing all the things on this list? Are you working in all planes of motion? Are you equally addressing upper and lower body, front and back body, side body? Are you doing both stability and mobility work? Are you alternating your standing leg frequently enough, especially in your warm-up? Are you stretching what you just worked? Are you also challenging the mind? I think we're all doing that. Are we overworking one muscle group? So all this stuff, like here it is. It's right here for you. We can review it at another meeting and make like a fun game out of it. But remember, we also talked about spicing it up, changing the order, second to first variations, combinations, forgotten exercises, and don't be predictable. So this is all the stuff that we did starting a year ago as a group. We like really poured into all this. I can't believe it's been a year, and I just felt like it was time to kind of revisit some of that material. And it's all in here for you. Here's all your prenatal stuff. We did a whole workshop on that. And, you know, just go through the presentation and at your leisure, just make sure you're doing the things that you learned. I know that I learned a ton of stuff in my Pilates for back injuries workshop 3 years ago. Do I remember it? 20% of it. And then I read the thing again and I was like, wow, I completely forgot about that. And it's important and it makes perfect sense. And I understand it better now because it's the second time I'm looking at it. So don't be afraid to revisit your materials. I know the FOMO emails are long, but the PowerPoint presentations are a little more digestible. And we'll go through some of these things in a future staff meeting. But today's focus was really on that 30-minute class format. And I'm so pleased with it. And we got some good ideas today. So I'm excited about more of that and the challenge that's coming up. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Anyone else want to chime in? Anyone have any fun weekend plans? No? So nothing's changed in a year.
I do.
Oh yes, let's hear it.